Today we're going to talk about risks and mistakes while hosting Kubernetes. Up front, I'm a backend developer, and I suppose most of you might be backend developers. Maybe we can have like who's actually working as an SRE here? Who's working as a backend developer, and who has to do both? Kinda. We have one guy in the back there. Cool, yeah. I'm a backend developer, and usually I work on a SQL compiler. You might ask, what does that guy want to tell me about Kubernetes now? Yeah, well, we ask Kubernetes questions in our job interviews sometimes, and a lot of people do not know so much. So it's always good to spread the word about Kubernetes. But today is not about me, it's about Kubernetes and why you should or shouldn't run it. And there are better and there are worse reasons to run Kubernetes. That might be one of the worst reasons, but that might be quite giggle when I read that the first time, you know. Let me introduce you to Alice and Bob. Alice and Bob will guide us today through our presentation. They both work for a mid-sized company, maybe around 1,700 employees. And they are in the industry for quite a while. But they're back-end developers, they're not SRE. They're not site reliability engineers. Now, they've been recently transferred to a new department. They work on a greenfield project. And as all greenfield projects do that right now, they work with large language models. And they're pretty good at what they're doing, but they've never had to host an application by themselves. And now they have to. So they think about, how can we host that? Pretty good at developing, not so good at hosting. It's a little bit like me, and maybe also a little bit like you, but maybe you're even better than that. What's the motivation for hosting? Well, they run like large language models. They run that on their own hardware. They want to do that. Why do they want to do that? To give them control, to give them control, to optimize. You know, if you think about what does this lovely P5e 48x large instance cost in AWS, anyone knows per hour? Depending on where you are. Did you hear a number? 7,000 per hour? No, almost. It's $50 per hour, but that adds up quite fast. So cost saving at scale is a topic. If you do the quick math, $50 per hour on average per month, oh boy, you can buy quite some hardware for that. Well, they do not have any compliance or regulatory requirements they have to follow, but they have maybe some conservative clients, and they will cancel their contracts. They have good reasons, they think. But there's some trade-offs to that. There's the big operational overhead. They've never run Kubernetes before. They have to buy servers. They have to buy network switches. They have to buy racks. They have to buy all things. And they also need in-house expertise. But they think, you know, as we software developers do that, usually we're quite good. We can do that by ourselves. We will see. There's some common pitfalls. And the biggest thing Bob experienced, I experienced, is complicated network topologies. How do you connect your nodes? You have to consider quite a few things. You add a VLAN, well, 50 bytes are gone. Your MTU, it's not 1,500 anymore, it's 1,450 or less, unless you have jumbo frames. There's also monitoring. You don't get that for free. When you host by yourself. You go to AWS, you get CloudTrail, you go to Azure, you get all of that for free. Try to run that by yourself. It's not fun. But they think they can do it, so they continue. They have a conversation and they talk about storage. Persistence is hard. Persistence is freaking hard. How do you persist your data in your cluster? Any suggestions? Can you? Okay, but where does the data go? You don't save that in RAM. You save it on some hard drive. Block storage. Block storage is very good. Where do you run your block storage? Okay. Perfect. And what do you do if your worker node goes offline?
Then you manage it in application level.
Okay, I heard application level. We have a software developer here. It's also what I would do. There are solutions to that, and I think we will hear about S3. S3, I heard S3. We're back to the cloud. We're back to the cloud. That's a very good solution. I would do the same. Yeah, Ceph. Ceph is good. Ceph and Rook on top maybe. Maybe someone heard Longhorn. Linstore. Perfect. We will hear about Linstore later. Yes, really looking forward to that. Really. There are solutions, but you can't just go and attach a hard drive and expect it to work, because who knows? Your worker node might go offline and you lose your data. Reliability and backups is another topic. What do you do? You might create backups. They might be corrupted. You have an outage. You try to restore, and then it's Friday afternoon and realize, pardon my language, fucking hell. Fucking hell, what do I do now? My weekend is gone. Okay, but they decide they can do it. They are software developers. They like Ubuntu. Who here likes Ubuntu? Okay, it's not so popular anymore, huh? I like Ubuntu. And they like the latest and greatest, so what do? Well, okay, every 6 months a new release. They don't want Debian. They upgrade every quarter once. Also cluster upgrades. Do we know how often Kubernetes roughly releases new versions?
Every 3 months.
I heard 3 months.
Lifetime for each version, it's about 3 months, isn't that?
I think it is 14 months of lifetime cycle, and 3 times a year we get a new release. But we can say roughly once a quarter you need to upgrade your cluster. Oh boy. Any product manager is not happy if you tell them, Now, one sprint is gone for upgrading the cluster and the operating system. But they decide, okay, we can do that. But they want to host by themselves. They bought the clusters, they bought the generators, they bought maybe some solar for the roof, they bought redundant network switches, they bought redundant storage arrays, and still there can be single points of failures. Where do you usually host your Kubernetes database for the control plane? What do you do? Any opinion on that? Okay, etcd on at least five nodes on big clusters. All right. Some people decide to do that on a database outside a cluster. It's a single point of failure. What happens if you have one ISP, and it might be Deutsche Telekom or it might be Vodafone, and they just decide on a particular day we don't want anymore? Oh no, we don't want that. Disaster recovery. What happens if shit hits the fan? You need to simulate, they need to simulate, and that the best every week. They need to have offsite backups, and everything has to be automated. And I know we will get a bit more technical now. That was pretty high level. So Alice and Bob decide, okay, we thought about everything now. Let's set up a cluster. Do you see what could go wrong already? Any suggestions?
Disable RBAC checks.
Disable RBAC checks is what I heard. Anonymous auth is true. Do I hear Yeah, please. What did you say? It's exposed to the public. Yes. Yes, everything here is pretty much fucked up. Pardon my language again. Sorry, let me say bloody hell. Not fucked up, bloody hell. This is what happens if you follow some random tutorial on the internet. But it gets worse. Because Bob decides on a random Friday afternoon. Do you see what he decides to do? Because it's Friday afternoon, and he really doesn't want to set up a new service account to debug some cluster issues. No, he decides to use the default account and give full rights to all of the cluster. Don't do that. don't be like Bob. I don't think we have to talk about that. But I still wanted to include it. Anyone wants to say something about that?
I think it's pretty similar if you store it in secrets and if you have the same rights to accessing config maps and secrets. Makes no sense.
Yeah, if you have the same rights, yes. But that still, I wouldn't do that. If you have proper, fair. With that, no. Without that, don't do that. Ever. Anywhere.
And even specify it in bot spec.
They decided to monitor their worker nodes. And how they decided to do that is by using privileged pods and by mounting the full file system. So all of those things that I just showed you happened in the past. It's nothing I decided to make up. No. This happened. And one large US car manufacturer had some crypto miners running in their cluster because of one of those things. You might have heard about that one. Stock price went down recently. Okay. Don't do Kubernetes from scratch unless you really know what you're doing or unless you want to learn about it. Let me show you one way to set up a cluster. Pretty fast. We don't have so much time left anyway. Let's go over. Okay, so it's fully scripted, I promise. It works. I'll show you in a moment. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. So you might have heard about something called Talos Linux. Yeah? Any fans here? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. The rest of you will be fans later. So you see here one of my playgrounds. You see there's like a couple of. I can show you that because it's just a playground. It's a couple of servers where I emulate a data center in Hetzner. So these just appeared, and we can actually look at what's happening in. Let's reload. Fingers still crossed? Yes. Okay, so you see we have like ready true, but stage is maintenance. Okay, this will take now like two minutes. In the meantime, any of you have heard about anything else? There's not only Talos Linux. Or Core OS. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Fedora Core OS. Yeah, lovely. Anyone Rancher here? No one likes RKE2, huh?
Does NixOS count?
Oh, I mean, in that case, why not? If you configure it, if you have the patience to for the recording NixOS. Okay. So what is happening in the background? We bootstrapped a cluster. We bootstrapped Kubernetes. Now we're waiting for Kubernetes to get ready. And if we are lucky, because I tried that today multiple times and more than once, the demo gods were not so happy with me. Yeah, I don't run it like this in production. Obviously, this is some scripted. Anyone here likes Bash? No, I take it back. Don't say anything bad about Bash anymore. I use Terraform to provision my virtual machines, and then I run, well, at least on Hetzner, I run Talos Linux. And at home, I have a K3S cluster in the basement. Talos also has a Terraform provider. Yes. But to be honest, I was a bit too lazy to type it down. You're all very much worth it to me, but I didn't know you were so many lovely people today, so I thought, let me use some bash to type it down. Okay, we're getting there slowly. So what we do have now is 3 control plane nodes. They're not ready yet, but they will be. But they will be ready in hopefully a moment, you know?
Can you describe in short what is happening under the hood?
Yeah. Basically, Talos Linux installed itself. We installed Talos Linux. We configured Talos Linux on Proxmox. The way that works is like there's this cloud init thingy, we assigned some static IPs. That's a big headache, I can tell you. When you do that the first time, it's not fun because Talos Linux, as you might know, is like a read-only thingy. And now we provision a Kubernetes cluster. And I would love to show you how to upgrade it, but I tried it today and it didn't work.
One node is ready.
Yeah, one node is ready. We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, perfect. So let me do an ls. Okay, we don't have it, so no, I have it. Luckily, I have it all prepared. So I'm cheating a bit. I'm having a WireGuard connection into my cluster, but that's okay. Okay, and there we have it. I promise this wasn't there before. I didn't show you before, but it wasn't there before. We have 3. We have high available Kubernetes installation without any worker nodes. Pardon me. All right, yeah. Let's go back. But you see, that's how fast you can get a Kubernetes installation up and running if you don't do it from scratch. Don't do it by scratch. Use pre-baked solutions, Talos Linux, RK82. You can even use K3S. You need to check some things are supported, other things are not supported. Always double check your configuration. You know, have a coworker check it. Don't do shit on Friday afternoon. And keep it up to date. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Question. You had a slide where you show monitoring thought running with post-releases. My question is how to properly solve this, because if I remember correct, this is not exporter expecting that you will run it in such way.
There might not be a good way to solve it other than to keep it up to date and don't do it like that. You know, use something that's open source, that's maintained. Keep your cluster privileges, like your service accounts, properly. How would you say that in English? Configure them properly. But maybe you have another suggestion.
There is a thing which came on replacement pod security policy, but there were, I don't remember. Talos enables it by default.
Yeah, we disabled that in the beginning.
There is stuff that's pod security. I don't know. It forces you to put specific label on namespace before you'll be able to run such.
Oh, that's okay. So there's a pod security label that you.
I guess yes.
Yes. Okay.
Pod security constraints or something.
Okay.
I don't remember. Sorry.
No, it's all good. You know.
Talos has it enabled by default. So you can't run.
So Talos has it enabled by default. So use Talos and your problems will be solved. Stay. Yes, please.
I'd be curious, what come to doing with Kubernetes that you even need Kubernetes? You yourself, what do you need Kubernetes for?
Okay, so the question was, what do I need Kubernetes for? What do I personally need Kubernetes for? Or what does Semrush need Kubernetes for? Me personally, I don't need Kubernetes. I just like it. It's just fun, you know. It's just fun. I still have a girlfriend. We will see how that might continue with Kubernetes. No, it's just, you know, people have, that sounds super sad, but people have hobbies, and I run a cluster in my basement.
She knows how to run Kubernetes.
She doesn't know how to run Kubernetes. Yes, please.
So, from my experience, I know that Talos and Bear one node failure, and the cluster stays alive. So, when this node back up, then the Talos joins it back, and everything stays like everything is online or spy. How many nodes does your cluster have, the one running Talos, and how many nodes out of them can fail from your experience? How fast reaction?
So it's n-1 control plane nodes. Please correct me if I'm mistaken here, but it's always n-1 control plane nodes that have to stay alive. So if you and yes, and by 2. So if you have 3, then 2 have to stay alive. If you have 5, then 3 have to stay alive. Okay, not n-1. Pardon me. Yeah, obviously, mathematics is not my strong point this evening. Well, I run a 3-node cluster, and I do not run my control plane nodes on my hardware, but I run them in Hetzner Cloud, because I don't want to run a control plane on my dedicated servers, because it's a hassle.
I have to, if you update some parameters in machine config, Talos might either like restart your nodes. So even if your like the hardware level is reliable, you might need to restart, and you want to restart node by node because you don't want applications to still fail.
Do you want to say that again into the microphone? It might be
What exactly?
what you just said, so that it might
Yeah.
be on the recording, you know.
Yeah, I just said that if you change some certain parameters in machine config, Talos might trigger restart, and you better change it node by node so that your applications still stay online. So even if your hardware is reliable, you still need to consider how your applications will survive a node restart. And of course, it's not only from Talos point of view, but also if your applications, if you have stateful sets or something, you still want to consider what's going to happen in one of the nodes go down. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much. Good point. Okay. Then I would hand the microphone over.
Thank you, David, for the excellent presentation. Oh, please. We have something for David. Yeah?
We do have something for there.
Please? We do have something for David on behalf of Semrush and Tech Internals. It's a badge that is with Semrush logo, but trust us, Tech Internal certificated as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being kind, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 10-minute break, and you can see our contact information. Please connect with us to stay in touch, and feel free to enjoy food and drinks and network with each other.